As I've mentioned before, I've been getting so many recommendations from you all for new games. Keep them coming, by the way. But the one I want to talk about today is the Doors of Trithius. What the hell is a Trithius? Where are these doors? And why have I eaten 10,000 calories worth of potatoes and roasted meat in the span of just a few hours? Why do you always get ahead of yourself? I'm gonna tell you, just watch the video. First released to early access in 2021, this game is made by one guy. His name's Jake. Whoa, hang on there, Krypton. I thought you were gonna talk about a game that doesn't stay in early access for years on end with no end in sight. And you're right, this has been in early access for a few years now. But if you look back at the patch history, you'll find that this game has been continuously updated for those almost 5 years, and it doesn't look like that's going to slow down. And like, come on, it's made by one guy. Jake, remember? This is probably a passion project, and whatever income he makes from the game is likely not his main source of income. Guaranteed, homie has a job and is still pushing out regular updates. But really though, looking back at some of the devlogs and patch notes for the game is really interesting, and it gives you a unique perspective of the process. Like watching an artist sculpt a statue out of a block of marble. As of this video, the current patch is 0.5.2, so it would seem that there's still a lot to go. I do, however, still think that this game is worth talking about in the state it's in now. Because I'm gonna be honest, I've played a lot of games, and I've smelled a lot of smells, and what I'm smelling now is potential. Actually, you know, funny personal aside, I actually have a really bad sense of smell, and I always have. I'm really not sure why. Let me know in the comments if you can smell. Starting off every game, you'll choose your character's class, starting loot, abilities, and skills. Your main skill is going to be whatever you use to primarily attack, but there's a myriad of minor skills to choose from, all affecting gameplay in some capacity. Don't concern yourself too much with this, as you'll generally be able to learn every skill in the game so long as you've interacted with the skill system in some way, and have a level you can use to put a point in the skill. Levels in Trithius are gained by accruing enough wisdom, which is obtained from various sources throughout the game. Killing enemies, completing quests, reading, exploring, it's really experience in the truest sense of the word. This doesn't raise any of your stats, but upon resting, you can now level up any of your major or minor skills for just the cost of the point. You can also spend that point to unlock a new skill you've discovered, but haven't unlocked yet. Sometimes I say things that are redundant, but I'm keeping that. Both major and minor skills have skill trees that allow you to spend focus points to acquire new abilities. Focus points are built up from increasing the level of the skill, which can be done by the aforementioned wisdom level, but can also be achieved by just utilizing the mechanic. The entirety of this game is skill-based leveling, which if you have watched my videos in the past, you have definitely heard me go on and on about how much I love skill-based leveling systems. And the one in Doors of Trithius is just great. Nearly everything has its own skill tree, and more are getting added all the time. I've been sitting here trying to figure out the best way to explain how this works in practice, but sometimes I forget that there's a visual component to this, and I can just show you. This is Fistula. She's a pyromancer with more than a few gruesome burn wounds. But as a pyromancer, she starts with access to the pyromancy skill tree. This is where new spells and powers are learned for that magic. On top of that, since Fistula uses a staff, not only does that unlock the bludgeon skill tree, she has immediate access to the staff's sub-skill, which is its own fully realized skill tree. Equipping new weapons grants access to their respective skills and don't require a skill point to unlock. Magic works similarly too, in that equipping a staff with either pyromancy or fulmination grants access to each respective skill tree. Very similar to a game like Dark Souls, your starting class is really just a starting place for your build, and can be taken in whatever direction you want once you get into the game. After you roll your inventory and choose your appearance, you're thrown into the game's introductory dungeon. As you progress through it and interact with the world, you'll get tutorial messages you can view at the top, or ignore entirely. I can't make you do anything. You'll also come across various vermin and small creatures that you can take your deepest, darkest urges out on and light them on fire. There are also several points in this dungeon that can introduce you to some of the minor skills you can unlock. Things like cooking, repairing your gear, and alchemy all come with their benefits, and nearly every skill feels useful in some way. You're also going to learn about how this game's hunger system works really fast, because you get hungry really fast. By the time you make it out of the intro dungeon, you've likely eaten enough food to make every member of a small African village burst into tears. Food is the primary way you regenerate health in the game, and you're going to be eating a lot of it. And if you don't, you get a hunger debuff, just like real life. Once you learn all that and deal with the booger goblins,
surprise, motherfucker,
you come across a magical crystal that sets the main plot in motion. I won't be getting into too much of that here, because there's not much of it. In the time I spent with this game, I was pretty easily able to make it to the current end of the main story. But what's there is very interesting, and while it is the stereotypical go save the world plot, it seems like something unique and interesting is being told there. I am genuinely excited to see how this plays out, and I hope that the story keeps its unique vibe throughout. In my opinion though, the most interesting aspect of this game is the world you find yourself in. Like Tales of Maj'El, the world here is very much a character, here maybe more so than Tome. The cities you can travel to all have a level of prosperity that changes depending on actions you take. This village is doing okay, but they're not excelling, and higher prosperity would bring more businesses to the town in the form of both permanent shops and temporary high-level merchants. Every town has a notice board with various quests you can take up for rewards and a further prosperity boost. But more than that, it's hard for small towns to thrive when they're beset on all sides by bandits, gremlin encampments, and angry turkeys. Clearing out hideouts can further boost a settlement's prosperity, so there is incentive to clear out these locations beyond the promise of good loot. Settlements can also be raided by enemies, and you can take an active part in fighting them off. And that's all just scratching the surface of what the world has to offer you. That said, I do think that travel can get a little tedious. As you travel, you will accumulate weariness that needs to be alleviated by resting. Every tile you move on the world map increases this weariness, and if you find yourself too far out and too tired to get anywhere you can sleep, you're kinda just fucked. Becoming exhausted causes you to collapse and spawns you on a random tile nearby. Often you've lost gold or your equipment gets broken. I don't think I have to tell you how annoying that can be. As you travel, there are also chances for random map encounters that usually involve getting ambushed and having your shit absolutely packed in. Travel is risky, and you have to do a lot of it. I honestly had a lot of trouble with it due to the aforementioned mechanics until I realized that there was a skill for traveling. I don't know what I did to unlock it because I've already done a lot of traveling. There are some other odd interactions like that too. To complete a section of the main quest, you need to remove these polyps from these branches because they're corrupting the world or something. But that requires the unarmed skill. Trying to pull them off does not unlock the unarmed skill. If you haven't figured it out yet, you'll need to unequip any weapons and slug the nearest thing in the jaw. You can't just... Now you have access to the unarmed skill and can remove the polyps. Truly, man has not had such a great leap forward since the advent of tools. There are a few examples of other things like that in this game, but I think some oddities like that can be forgiven. There are mechanics that I would like to see more fleshed out, and I feel like some major skills have inferior skill trees to others. As much as I like playing Pyromancer, I did have my issues with it. You can unlock skills that add benefit to being surrounded by fire, but you are absolutely not immune to your own fire. Not saying you necessarily should be, but it does feel a little odd to scorch my enemies and then have to carefully avoid the tiles of fire that I just spawned everywhere. It's usually the whole room. It's not too appealing to be next to fire, even if it can heal you, if one misstep can cause a burn wound that decreases your max HP. A lot of the things that I have to complain about are honestly not the biggest issues, but I still think they are important to bring up even though the game itself is still in early access. In fact, I think that's what makes bringing up these quality of life issues important now. There's still time to shape some of these things up. And I'm totally aware that some of it is probably just up to player preference. But like I said earlier, this game is absolutely brimming with potential, and I'd love to see deeper, more fleshed out systems. I think there's a lot of room for interesting interactions between a lot of the systems in this game, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the developer has in store for this. But as it stands right now, I feel like it is lacking some level of complexity that I would like to see in a final release. Oh yeah, you know how most games I talk about like this are roguelikes? Yeah, Doors of Trithius isn't. As of right now, there is no permadeath mode in the game, though one is on the way. I'm not sure if that is the intended way to play the game, or if it's an afterthought, but the store tags list this as a roguelike, so something tells me that's the way this game is going to be intended for play. But if you watch my Caves of Qud video, you know I have no problem with more forgiving modes in roguelikes. I digress. What's here is great. It's got a lot of things that I love, and a lot of things that I'm excited to see how they'll develop. I really like the town reputation and prosperity systems, and I think the fact that settlements can be raided in real time is just really cool. There's a lot here, and it's a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Oh, the music slaps too. It's pretty good. If you made it this far, remember to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and I'm trying to shoot for my next goal at 5,000 subs. Let me know down below what you think of this game and what you would like to see in it going forward. All that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. But the one I want to talk about today is the Doors of Trithius. Well, fuck you too.